What's up, YouTube? Filthy Casual is back. I know it's been a while. I tried uploading when I was in Florida, but it just did not work out. I also haven't seen every single game, but I am going to try to speak on what I have seen and the things that I'm most concerned about. I'm going to start off with the Kings Warriors thing because I think that's probably going to get me the most views because people give a shit about it. First of all, I want to say the Draymond stomp, I've kind of gone back and forth on a couple of times. I've like every time I look at the video from different angles, I get different opinions. It's like, first of all, the Kings fans who are saying, "Oh, Sabonis was just grabbing his head, and it was a total coincidence that he happened to lock Draymond's leg." That's BS, man. And anybody who's saying that is totally delusional. Like he locks his arm off and that's not a natural motion. If you're going to grab your head, you're not going like this, you're going like this, You're going like this. Your arms are not going like this. That's not a thing. People don't do that. So people who are saying that, you are just as bad as the Draymond people. Two, Draymond, I understand how he could have maybe slipped and stomped down with more force, but it doesn't really look like he slipped. It looks like he stomped. Because when I first heard him say that, I was like, oh, did he actually not mean to do it? Because I I found that interesting, and that he was basically saying that it wasn't intentional in the slightest when it looked intentional and realistically probably was intentional. And I think that he stomped on him. I think Sabonis having a contusion and being questionable is likely bullshit. I think it's all posturing, and I think it's also partly the reason why Draymond got suspended. The NBA says that it's because he's had a history of this, but if you're using a player's history against them in any given case for dirty plays when the play wasn't initiated by that player, you're basically incentivizing, the other team to do dirty plays to that player, which is not in the spirit of the game, in my opinion. And I think if that is the actual reason that the NBA is suspending Draymond in this case, they are in the wrong and they should not suspend him. That out of the way, the Warriors have been playing like trash. The turnovers, the lazy passes, specifically from Jordan Poole, oh my God, that contract does not look like it's going to age well. I don't know why this player is so different from the player that I saw last year, but the player that Jordan Poole has been this year is significantly worse than the player he was last year. He is lazy on passes. He can't shoot. There's so many problems with his game that weren't necessarily present last year. And is that because of the punch of Draymond? Is that because he doesn't care? I feel like it's hard to not care when you just got paid a massive amount of money, or maybe the money is, messed with his head. I don't know, but it's concerning. It's concerning, if not for just this season, but for seasons in the future, because they chose Poole over Draymond, who's their defensive centerpiece, right? I understand Draymond's older and Curry's older and Poole's the best young player, so you should pay him. I understand that. But man, he's looking rough. Also, the Kings have been getting a really good whistle in that series. Home court advantage whistle for sure. If the Warriors get that same whistle at home, which I anticipate, I think the games would likely have swung in the Warriors' way, because there were a lot of calls that I think were very highly questionable on the Warriors, and especially on their big men. And the Draymond suspension is not looking good because, Draymond and Looney almost fouled out at home, and now they don't have one of their big men. That being said, Game 3 is really important, and if Curry has a game, I don't think they're going to lose. I'm definitely less confident in the Warriors winning this series than I was before. I'm still picking Warriors in 6. Might be Warriors in 7. I think this could be a Lakers-Suns repeat from 2021, where everybody had the Lakers beating the Suns. I understood that the Kings were a good team, and I believed that the series would be harder than some people were making it out to be. But I did think that the Warriors would likely win a game on the road in the first two games. And whether or not the ejection changed that, I don't know. Whether or not the all this other stuff has impacted that, maybe hard to say. But I think they're definitely looking rough right now. I still have faith, maybe not as much as before. Moving on, I think the Ja getting injured definitely ruined the Lakers Grizzlies series because I don't think they've got a shot without Ja. And that being said, I did pick the Lakers to win that series in six, but it might go less. And it's sad because the Grizzlies were a 2 seed for the second time in a row and are again underperforming in the playoffs due to injury. And that's not what you want to see out of a team, especially a young team that might not have a roster as good as this in future seasons because they're going to have to pay players. That's always what happens, and the windows are shorter than everybody would like to think, and that's unfortunate for the Grizzlies and their future dynasty, right? That being said, I also want to shout out Jaren Jackson Jr. DPOY kind of felt like a formality. Like everybody knew he was going to win it. But I want to shout him out. I really feel like he's been the best player on the Grizzlies this year. And I think that his contributions have been almost underrated for the team. I think he's a very versatile player, and he's really showing it in these playoffs. Moving on, the Clippers Suns thing, the Clippers are playing better. I think Russell Westbrook is really showing out, and I think the decision to go to the Clippers instead of staying on the Jazz might be a career-saving thing for him. I'm not saying he's going to be making max money anymore, but he really is showing in these playoffs that, hey, man, Russell Westbrook is like still a legitimately really, really good player. And if you have him on a playoff team, yeah, he might go 3 for 19, but he also might get a game-saving block and then throw it out of bounds on Devin Booker, who's, by the way, too busy complaining to the ref about the block not being a foul call to just catch the ball that's about to be thrown at him, which is so baffling to me. And that's why people say the NBA is soft and everybody bitches about calls, because they do, and it's frustrating. You're in the playoffs. Stop crying instantly and wait until the play is finished to cry. I'm not even saying don't cry, because everybody's competitive. Everybody's going to cry when shit doesn't go their way. It's the way of the world. But for real, get your shit together. Other than that, I don't really think there's super much to talk. Oh, Knicks Cavs. I didn't expect the Knicks to go up 2-0. I definitely expected them to win one of the first two games. I felt that in my heart of hearts, and if that video I made in Florida actually got uploaded, everybody would have seen that. But the Knicks are, in my opinion, the better of the two teams. I think they're the more versatile teams. If Josh Hart is out, though, it definitely impacts us in a really negative way, because he's a really good energy guy for us. He's another good defender to put on one of their guards, and he's a really good rebounder, like an offensive rebounder. And winning the offensive rebounding in this series is very, very important for two reasons. One, the Cavs struggle to get their offense. Typically, they're very reliant on their two guards. The rest of their team is not as prolific scoring and doesn't really have another method to score. Their sets can be awkward, so they don't really their offense doesn't generate necessarily easy points when those guys aren't handling the ball. And I think the main thing is that the Knicks are kind of like the Cavs kryptonite. If I had to pick between which team I think was like legitimately a better, more talented team, actually, you know what? The Knicks are the more talented team. We've got the deeper team. We've got Quickly. We've got Obi Toppin is so underrated, and we've got lots of really good players, right? And the Cavs, I feel, very top heavy, at least this season. That being said, their top end talent might be considered higher tiered, right? Donovan Mitchell's a great player. So I guess my main point is I anticipate the Knicks to really have to fight on the home court in order to take those two games, because I think the Cavs are really going to fight for that steal, and they might get one. They might drop a game to them. But I still feel very confident that the Knicks are going to win this series. I feel like they're a very good matchup against the Cavs, and barring injury, I just think it's going to be well. I going to go well for them. I will also say that the playoffs have been very physical thus far, and I'm really afraid somebody's going to get really injured, especially with all the charges. Like guys are jumping into the air, and then people are sliding in to take charges. And I've seen like 4 really scary falls, including the one that John Morant like landed on his wrist and like hyperextended his wrist. Those are really scary injuries for basketball players. When you're jumping up that high and then falling like that, especially when there's a body underneath you, like and you can't, you know, do the swim thing to eat the contact on the floor, it's going to be rough and we're going to see more injuries and we see it happen every year, but those types of charge drawing things that I've seen, I mean, everybody's been doing it. AD's done it, Sabonis has done it. All these players are doing is I think it needs to be called either a flagrant or something else, a technical, or because it's not okay and you're going to cause injuries. And if a foul is very likely to cause injuries, it should be penalized as such, like we see with the closeout, the space thing. So that's all I wanted to say. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe.